Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Darwin's Journey from Thundergriff Games. Darwin's Journey is a 1-to-4 player worker placement tableau building game that plays out across 5 rounds. I will not be doing a full rules overview for this video because frankly there's a lot of nitty-gritty details to get into. I will be giving you a general overview of how the game plays, as well as of course my thoughts and opinions, timestamps to everything down below. The general idea is across 5 rounds of play you're going to be playing your workers. Hello, this is not one of your workers in the game. Let's see if we can get you onto my lap so I can continue the teach of this. But the basic idea is you have these workers. These workers are going to be going onto the core worker placement spots on this board over here in order to take a variety of actions. The actions are going to comprise of this spot over here, which is going to have you moving your adventurers on these islands. Over here, you're going to be able to move your boat along this path over here, which will help you avoid losing end of round points as the HMS Beagle, which is effectively the round marker, progresses along this pathway, but also gives you access to new islands where you can place new adventurers and start exploring new areas of the board. Over here, you're going to be able to place letters of correspondence, which effectively allow you to take spots from your personal tableau and place them over here for various end of round benefits, while also clearing this out to get extra actions. And over here, one of my favorite worker placement spots is going to allow you to upgrade your workers. You see, all the spots in the game have seals in them, seals that require you to have certain combinations of seals in order to place your workers out as you're going through the game. The problem is, you start the game with 1 seal per worker. You have a wild one, and then you're going to be drafting these cards over here, which will give you the various spots your other workers can go, and you'll be placing starting seals onto those workers. So you are trying to upgrade them, both to be able to get access to new spots on the board, also to be able to unlock various abilities over here. These abilities, these cards you get, as you achieve certain combinations of seals, you'll get powerful one-time abilities, but then also, you're going to get points for upgrading your workers, as well as getting various bonuses for going to spots with 4 and 6 seals. So you are trying to upgrade your workers to give you a lot of flexibility, points, and abilities throughout the game. Those are going to be the core worker placement spots in the game. You also have variable worker placement spots, that these over here. These change up game to game, give you different combinations of ways of getting other things done in the game, or abilities you don't otherwise have access to, and those change up every single game. There's a bunch of tiles. The combination of those will give you different ways to pursue your pathways to victory. Then there's a few other worker placement spots that's going to be taking adjusting turn order over here. Over here, you're going to be getting new goals as well as money. And then over here, you're going to be able to log your discoveries. You see, as you move your ship along over here, or your explorers on these islands, you're going to unlock various discoveries, and you can log them here, both to get your hands on money, as well as to get your hands on development points, which will give you points at the end of the game for the amount of discoveries logged. So you're going to want to go there to be able to make sure to get money, as well as ensure you are not falling behind in the endgame scoring. This is a very light rules overview. The general idea is every round you're going to place your 4 workers out. You're going to be placing them onto various spots on the board in order to perform those actions. One of the key things you're going to be doing over here is going to be unlocking new action spots. These 2 spots over here, and there's other ways to do it as well, but these 2 spots over here allow you to place your own seals onto various spots on the board, unlocking upgraded actions that you can take yourself or other players can take, and the bank will pay you for having unlocked that spot for them. Those upgraded actions, which again are stronger versions of each action over here, or entirely new actions over here, are again going to be a powerful part of the unlocking of how the game lets you operate as you play through it. That's a very light overview of how this game plays. Again, there's a lot more to get into. I recommend watching a full how to play or alternatively playthroughs or anything else out there if you really want to see how the game operates. But with that, I think that's enough of a general idea. Worker placement, 4 workers until you unlock your 5th. If you unlock your 5th, you don't have to unlock your 5th. Across 5 rounds in play, every single round is going to have variable scoring in it. And again, it's going to be variable scoring, so every game is going to be a little different. And you're going to do that across those 5 rounds until you get to the end and see who has the most points. With that, let's go ahead and dive into what I like, don't like, can see others not liking, all of that, starting off with what I like. To begin with, the different approaches this game lets you do is so compelling to me. There's so much that you want to do in this game, and there's only so much you can get done in the game, although I will say another point in its favor is I find games are straddling the line of how good a game is at what it's trying to do and who the target audience is as far as how much you get done. If a game lets you do too much, it's not fulfilling. It doesn't feel like, okay, great, I got a ton done. It was a great first game, but I have no reason to dive into it a second time. If a game doesn't let you do enough, it can sometimes feel like, okay, well, I wanted to do more and you didn't let me. There's a bunch of games out there that manage to perfectly straddle that line, that let you do just enough that you really feel you got a good taste for everything the game has to offer, but not so much that you don't feel the need to dive back in. And everyone's line is going to be different. For me, Darwin's Journey hits that line perfectly. Going back to my first point, the different approaches the game has, because again, you can't do everything, are incredibly compelling. You can go heavy on adventuring over here. Advance up this track over here, power up your workers so you get multiple green seals, make sure to unlock those stronger actions, and then start exploring heavily on this island, and you can get a ton, because as you move with this island, you can get your hands on money. Money can be incredibly tight in the game. You can get your hands on all kinds of abilities. You can place camps onto various spots on the board, unlocking those benefits and unlocking the benefits you get from your camps as well at the same time. So you can go heavy on adventuring. You could also never power up your adventuring action and barely take any adventuring actions ever and still be incredibly productive in this game. You can pick and choose how you operate. You can advance your ship along this pathway over here, get strong endgame points, maybe unlock access to later islands faster than the players, or you can leave it fully behind, taking those negative point penalties, but then again, you have ways to mitigate that. There's goals over here. One of the goals allows you to mitigate your endgame points, your end of round points, from being behind the HMS Beagle. These all lend itself to different pathways of different things you can do. You can advance your ship to get your explorer out if you want, or alternatively, if this action tile is in the game, you can place your explorers on later islands without having to get your ship there. If that action tile is not in the game, that will totally change the options you have, because you have to advance your ship in order to get your later explorers onto the islands. And so the variability is another factor. The approaches to the game, the fact that you can do different things. You can go heavy on upgrading your workers early on. You can enter round 3 with the fully upgraded. I haven't seen round 2 yet. I've seen round 4 all the time, but if you really work on it, you can get a 6 seal upgraded worker that is already in round 3 doing the Lord's work, helping you out, getting you extra points, extra abilities, and that can be amazingly fun. You could also choose to barely engage in upgrading and really try to take the other spots because other players are fighting over this, and so you can balance that out. And again, the variability aspect, this tile being in the game totally changes the options that you have. Similarly, this tile lets you put camps out in various spots without having actually gotten there, and that totally changes the way you approach the game. The options that the game gives you, the variability that the game gives you, adjust the way players are going to engage with them. The cascading actions are so incredibly satisfying. The fact that there are going to be, most turns are going to be pretty basic. You place a worker, you do the thing, it's still going to feel fun, make no mistake. The turns that don't feel fun are the exception. Occasionally you get 2 coins and you adjust worker placement, you adjust turn order. That's something that's essential, but it's not super fun. Taking 2 coins and a goal, again, can really be helpful, but not a super fun turn. But most of the turns are going to be pretty fun on their own right, but then you're going to have those turns, those incredibly powerful turns in which you place something down, you manage to place another camp out, that camp lets you get 1 more movement, that movement lets you go ahead and place another camp, that camp's going to give you another spot over here, you're going to use that correspondence is going to unlock your last correspondence, which gives you another bonus. Throughout the game, every time you play, there's always those 2 or 3 turns where you really do a ton, and other players just look at you, you're like, well, that feels like you must be cheating. You must be cheating, right? Your turn must have been over a few minutes ago. Those turns will happen, and they feel incredibly satisfying as you go through it. And again, it does all that while being pretty accessible on the game length as well. Like, the teach is a little much. I find the teach is much easier to teach people by doing. Go through the sequence of a few actions, show them the starting draft. If you spend a few minutes just walking through how a turn can play out, the game becomes very accessible very quickly, but there are a lot of little details, so it's not the shortest teach, at least in my experience. But I will say the game length, your first game can definitely run a little long. The more you play the game, you can get this down to a full 4-player game in under 2 hours. For the level of depth that this game gives you is frankly insane to be able to have that kind of 2-hour experience. 3 players, I think you can get down to 90 minutes if, again, you have to know the game. Your first game will not be 90 minutes. I think you could have a 90-minute game of Darwin's Journey with 3 people who know the game. I mean, you don't have to rush, that's not my point, but I would say without trying, I've gotten under 2 hours on this game multiple times, and that is, it feels, again, my first game was over 3 hours, and so managing to get down to under 2 hours without trying really felt like this game delivers a lot in a short time, and it does so while being relatively accessible, it does so while giving you multiple pathways to victory, it does so while being highly variable in the way that the game allows you to approach it differently every single time, it does so while giving you that perfect blend of how much you get done, yet you didn't get everything done, so you always feel, at least I feel diving into it, there's always that like, I still want to do that, I want to try that, I want to really power this action up and get to the 3rd island as fast as possible, and try that combo, because this 3rd island is chock full of points if you can weave your way around it, but usually I only get there in the last round of the game, and I really want to try these different strategies and see if I can mesh it all together in a way that is just ridiculously satisfying. It's already ridiculously satisfying. It's the appeal of being able to do more, to want to do more, that continues to unlock those fun little spots in my mind. As far as what I don't like, I'll say the first turn rotation aspect is one of the few things I don't like in the game. There's two things that I was able to think of over here. First turn rotation is one of them. When you want, you can take one of your workers, you can place it down over here, and you can unlock earlier, you can unlock access to adjusting the turn order, which in the game, if you go first in the game, great, amazing. If you go second, amazing. If you go third or fourth, sometimes you feel like, okay, great, well, I want to move up in turn order, but you have to spend an entire worker to do so, and you do get 2 coins, which is nice, but you also get 2 coins when you claim an objective, which means it feels like your choice is, do I get an objective, or do I adjust for the turn order to compensate for the fact that I unfairly got 3rd or 4th. And make no mistake, you do get better access to the goals. It's kind of a reverse turn order draft for the goals. Personally, I find that does not feel compensating, especially across multiple rounds. For the first round, sure, it's compensating, but unless you choose to go to that first turn order spot, then it feels like you're stuck in 3rd place or 4th place for the entire game, and all you got in exchange for it was 2 goals or giving up a turn. And because of the fact that you can get 2 money by going to the goal spot, it doesn't really feel like you're getting that much outside of having to go there to adjust for turn order. I wish turn order gave you even 3 coins or 4 coins, something slightly more that made it feel like Letha is more compensation as opposed to literally giving up an alternative spot that you could have gone to. Or even if this spot had been more limited and players couldn't have gone there as easily, because one thing I didn't talk about is there are spots on the board, most of these more core journals, you have to pay if other players go there. So the first access to those spots is incredibly important. So the first turn order, that's the one area where, like, when I play 3rd, or when I first or second is not as bad, and we'll cover why, but when I'm 3rd or 4th in the game, I do often feel that I kind of have to give up a turn at some point to bump forward. Otherwise, it's not as worth it, and I feel that turn feels a little penalized as well because of that monetary aspect. So the first turn order rotation, that's one of the things I don't like. The other thing is that the ship track, similarly, feels less fun. Those are my complaints against the game. Anytime a turn feels less fun, that's what I don't like. But the ship track feels less fun. The board over here, as you adventure with your explorers, they always have spots that you can get things on, but with the ship track, sometimes you land on something and you get it, other times you don't. It's chock full of empty spaces, and that makes it less fun. Is it important to avoid those negative victory points at the end of each round? Absolutely it is. You do not want to be taking those on every single round. It will cost you. Additionally, you get access to more islands as you explore, so there's good reasons to do so. But moving your ship and getting nothing on that turn, outside of the fact that it's good for you, it just feels less fun relative to all these other things in the game that don't feel less fun, that feel so consistently fun. So both the turn order and the ships, they're very often good things to do strategically, but they just feel like less fun moves in a game that is otherwise so overpoweringly filled with fun. As far as what I can see others not liking, a few small things. First of all, that 3rd and 4th player, kind of similar complaint to what I'm saying, but a slightly different. I'll explain why. Players who come in 3rd or 4th generally might feel like they got shafted on the turn order. The reason for that is because the game basically structures this like journals. So the first person to go to this journal gets a free spot. The second person to either side of this journal has to pay because someone already went there. That's true over here and over here. The problem is these spots over here are often harder to do at the beginning of the game. So your very first turn, player 1 will often go to one of these journals, player 2 will often go to one of these journals, or reverse the 2, and then player 3 very often can't go to this journal, and that means very often they have to go over here or pay someone. Now, I don't mind this as much because I personally find that unlocking a spot on your first turn can be incredibly powerful and satisfying, so I often think that the 3rd player doesn't really get shafted, and in a 4-player game as well, the 4th player can also go here, so same kind of situation. But unless you're willing to spend basically all your money turn 1, which is what you'd have to do that, I do find that the 3rd or 4th player can feel frustrated by going 3rd or 4th. And that's regardless of the ability to change turn order. Changing turn order is my complaint. What I can see others not liking is being 3rd or 4th in the first round to begin with. Secondly, I'll say that this game can be AP prone, analysis paralysis prone. As much as you do get better at the game as you play through it, and turns get faster and snappier as you start picking up the way things blend together, at first the options can be so ridiculously overwhelming, and I say even now, even as I've played it a whole bunch now, I do find that similar to the fact that there's always those turns that are incredibly cool and powerful. There's also always those turns where you spend 4 minutes looking at the board, unable to fully make it all work, while the other players either just wait patiently or be social while waiting for you. So the game can be analysis paralysis prone. And lastly, money is tight in this game. Now again, this doesn't bother me because I have found that often you are able to get what you need, you're able to get the money you need, you just have to plan around it. It's the planning part that gets in the way. There's lots of ways to get money, but you really have to approach it with dedication. You have to know that, oh, I'm going to be moving on this island, I'm going to have 5 coins over here. I'm actually getting 2 goals this turn, or I'm logging a discovery. There's things you can do that will get you money. If you don't plan in advance to ensure you have money, you will be spending one of those 3-minute turns realizing that you have no coins left and you didn't plan around that, and now you're kind of stuck in a bad situation. So while money can be tight, you can plan around it. If you don't, you are looking at a bad turn or a lot of looking at the board figuring out an ideal turn. As far as final thoughts on Darwin's Journey, I like this game. I like this game so much. The first time I played this game, you can ask the people who played it with, I learned it on Board Game Arena for the first time. Someone taught it to me and I went through it, and it's like, every single move was, oh my gosh, this was incredibly dynamic. Everything felt so intertwined. Every single thing felt so rewarding. I played it again in person on the table the same night because I was so excited to dive into it. And then I proceeded to play it multiple times again in that first week. The amount of times that I will play a 2 hour plus game, because again, I got it down to under 2 eventually, but my first few games were over 2 hours. The amount of times that I will play a game like that, 4 or 5 times in the first week, it is infrequent, but I managed to find the time to do so for Darwin's Journey because I was over the hill as far as the feelings this game gave me. And then a key thing for me is the variability of the experience. Sometimes a game tickles all those right things in your brain, but diving into the second time is the same puzzle, and that just feels less fun for me. I like when the system has the same rules, but the system feels different every time you approach it, and Darwin's Journey definitely has that. I haven't dove into any of the expansions quite yet. I certainly plan on, because I will say, small other critique, as much as there's a lot of variability, sometimes the variability is on the surface. What I mean by that, for example, this particular end round goal gives you 4 points for every green seal you have at the end of round 1. But then, even though it's variable, there's a bunch of ones that reward you for different colors. So a yellow versus a blue versus a green is just a small shift into the way you're going to approach the game. So some of the variability just feels like potato, and a lot of the other variability really changes up the game. Like I focused over here, these majorly change up the game. These a little bit, it tends to change your approach a little bit. The order the goals come out, those are a little bit, but nitpicks aside, the variability is there. The way it tickles my brain is there. The satisfaction, the approaches to the game, all of that, it has really resonated with me again and again as I've continued to play this. For me, this is going to be another 5 out of 5. It really took to getting to the last few months of the year to get those 5 out of 5s, but Darwin's Journey, I mean, I feel like sometimes when it comes to some of these better games, I sleep on them a little bit, and suddenly I wake up a year later, dive into them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the games people have been talking about last year that I'm finally catching up to, and Darwin's Journey feels like another one for me. An absolute treasure of a game. I am having so much fun with this one, and I'm excited to look at the expansions and see what additional content the game has to offer. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Encyclopedia. This felt very reminiscent of Encyclopedia, and it made me want to replay Encyclopedia again because it's been like half a year since I've touched it. Both of them feel very different, thematically the same, some elements that are the same, the worker placement, the concepts of the logging of your discoveries, but they play out very differently, and I've enjoyed Encyclopedia so much that I want to see how I feel about it now, having played Darwin's Journey. And then also check out Lost Winds of Arnak. If you're looking for a worker placement game where you unlock additional spots on the board, both those hit the same feeling. While that sense of exploration and discovery are present, they feel very, very different. I will say that Encyclopedia feels a little bit more reminiscent on the higher approaches to the gameplay. Lost Winds of Arnak hits some of the core notes, but feels very different, but both of them are excellent games I would recommend. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this review helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.